Flight 666. The ghostly descent. The passengers of Flight 666 were anxious from the start. A thick fog had blanketed the airport, delaying takeoff, and the mood on board was tense. The plane, a Boeing 737 bound for Tokyo, finally took off at 11:59 p.m., just before midnight. 30 minutes into the flight, something felt wrong. The cabin lights flickered. A baby started crying, its wails sharp against the eerie silence. Flight attendants exchanged uneasy glances. Then the whispers began. At first, they were soft, like the wind. Then they grew louder, murmurs of voices that didn't belong to anyone on board. "Excuse me," a passenger in seat 17A called a flight attendant. There's someone in the aisle." The attendant turned, but the aisle was empty. "But I saw her," the man insisted, his voice trembling. "A woman in a white dress. She was standing right there." Before the attendant could respond, the entire plane shook violently. Oxygen masks dropped. The aircraft plunged, then steadied again. But now, the whispers were everywhere. Many voices, speaking in an ancient language, growing louder. In the cockpit, Captain Reynolds and his co-pilot were fighting with the controls. The instruments had gone haywire. The altimeter spun wildly, showing impossible readings. The radio crackled, and a distorted voice whispered, "Turn back before it's too late." Reynolds's heart pounded. "Who is this? Identify yourself." Static. Then laughter. A piercing scream came from the cabin. A passenger, pale and shaking, pointed at the window. "There's something out there!" Everyone turned. Outside, through the fog, shadowy figures clung to the wings, dozens of them. Their hollow eyes stared inside, mouths twisted in silent screams. The plane's engines roared, but then, silence. The power cut out. They were falling. Reynolds pulled desperately at the controls, but the ground was rushing up too fast. The last thing he saw was a ghostly woman standing in the cockpit, her eyes black voids whispering, "You were never meant to leave." The next morning, Flight 666 was reported missing. The last radar contact placed it over the Pacific Ocean, but no wreckage was ever found. Some say the flight is still out there, trapped between worlds, its passengers screaming in the darkness.